Welcome to the handover video for your new AutoSleeper Bourton. We'll start our tour of the vehicle on the outside, and then after we've gone round the vehicle we'll return to the habitation door and we'll enter the inside. Starting next to the habitation door, the first thing you'll see are a set of vents. These are the vents for the fridge. The vent that's above it is the vent for the microwave. Down below you'll find two little flaps under which you will find a 240 volt, 230 volt external power socket, and beside that a socket for a gas barbecue. This door gives access to the under seat storage for the interior of the vehicle, and below that is a wet locker. The wet locker is where you obviously can store items such as leveling ramps, the electric hookup cable, anything that could get damp and you wouldn't want to store in a locker that would be in the interior of the vehicle. Opening the passenger door, it gives you access to the fuel point. You'll see that it's a diesel vehicle and there is no AdBlue on this particular variant of the Mercedes engine. In the bottom of the passenger door there is a door locker, inside which you'll find an emergency red triangle, standard equipment on a Mercedes-Benz, and also in there you'll find a torch. Also in the passenger side of the cab you'll find access to the vehicle battery. There are remote posts under the bonnet for jump starting should that ever be required, because it's quite a job with a screwdriver to gain access to the battery. Underneath the passenger seat you'll also find another item. This is the leisure battery. Finally, in the passenger side of the cab is the bonnet release for gaining access to the bonnet for those remote posts for the vehicle battery jump start. After releasing the secondary bonnet release catch underneath the bonnet, you then get access to under the bonnet, where you will top up your coolant, brake fluid and oil. Although with a vehicle that's only done the mileage this vehicle's done, that shouldn't be required in between service intervals. The only real reason for coming under the bonnet will be to top up your screen wash. Oh, and if you do need to check the oil, you'll find the dipstick down there. The remote posts for jump start, should that be required, the positive one is here. You push in, turn, and then push the rest of the way. It exposes the positive terminal, and over on the side of the bonnet you'll see a bolt which has been placed there for connection to the negative lead of your jump pack. Continuing round to the offside of the vehicle, underneath the driver's seat you will find not a battery this time, but a bank of 12 volt spade fuses. Refer to the owner's manual for which fuse is for which part of the vehicle. As we continue around the side of the vehicle, you'll find the freshwater tank fill point, the underslung LPG tank fill point, a fill point if you're on a fully serviced campsite where you can have water on demand, external points for RF and satellite television input, again only if you're on a fully serviced site. Down below you'll see the drain tap for the freshwater tank just in front of the rear wheel, and just behind the rear wheel you'll find the drain point for the grey water tank. Returning to the side of the vehicle, vent for the Truma boiler. Never hang anything over there. The boiler will sense any back pressure if there's any blockage there, and as a safety measure we'll switch off the vehicle. Electric hookup point, 220 volts. The fill point for the cistern, you have a separate water reserve for flushing your toilet. Into here you'll put either Elson green chemical or the Thetford pink. And then below there we have access to your toilet cassette. So let's have a look at the toilet cassette itself. To release the toilet cassette, you'll see there's a yellow handle. Just place your fingers in there and lift it. That will release the cassette. Now the cassette comes out very freely. If it doesn't come out freely, go inside and check that the blade in the toilet cassette has been closed. Otherwise it will affect the position of this valve here. As you insert the cassette back into the vehicle, this flap slides backwards and there is an engagement inside the vehicle, and as you open the valve inside the vehicle, that blade turns and allows access for waste material into your cassette. To empty the cassette, simply remove the cap, turn the pipe through 90 degrees, and pressing this yellow button here to release the air pressure, you're able to empty the contents at the appropriate disposal point in the campsite. To refresh, chemicals into here, not down the toilet bowl. The chemicals will stain the white plastic of the toilet bowl. You just put them straight into the cassette, add about 1 litre to 1.5 litres of water, give it a good shake and return it, making sure that the yellow lever clicks into place, and that's you good to go. On the rear of the vehicle you'll find the tow bar. It's has got the electric point to the side of it, and high level reversing camera which appears on the screen on the dashboard. This brings us back round to the habitation door. Time now to go inside. To the left of the habitation door as you enter the vehicle, you will find the AutoSleeper control panel. The first button on the left hand side is the master button to switch on. If the screen has gone to sleep, simply touching any button will wake the screen back up again. This is the interior light switch. With that switch selected, all the interior lights will work. Exterior light, that will switch on the awning light outside of the vehicle. This button here will toggle between, well, it shows the battery, the condition of the batteries and the voltage. Now, this is the leisure battery. This is the vehicle battery. It is always advisable to have the leisure battery on display. That way you know that that is the main principal battery and it is getting all the energy from electric hookup, charging it first. Once it's full, surplus energy will go to the vehicle battery, and vice versa from the use of the battery. When you're using 12 volt systems in the vehicle, it'll always be drawing from the leisure battery, not from the vehicle battery. When the leisure battery's flat, it will switch off. So let's press any button to wake it back up again. Water pump, as you see, it's now warning us that the fresh water tank is low. It's because we haven't put any water in the freshwater tank yet. We will fill it up for you before your arrival so that you can test everything to see that all the taps are working. We'll also have the heating on to demonstrate that the hot water is functioning as well. So let's go back to our main screen, and here we are. So toggling through the screen, clock, which you can then set, condition of batteries, vehicle, and then back to the main screen again. This will give you a heater on the tanks for use in winter. The tanks on this vehicle are underslung and winterized. Make sure when you switch that on only if there is liquid in the tanks. Otherwise, you're just wasting energy. Now it's important that you switch the power on here first before you come to the Truma control panel. From the Truma control panel, you simply switch on by pressing the round dial in the middle. Now, if you haven't switched on the 12 volt power supply to begin with, the first thing this panel does is look for a 12 volt supply. And if it can't find one, it'll bring up an error message. So if you try to use anything on here and you get an error message, the first thing you should do is switch this off again, go back to your original AutoSleeper panel as you come through the door and make sure that that's on, supplying 12 volts. So when you first press it, you'll see that this little symbol here is flashing. This is the symbol for the central heating. To enter the central heating functions, press the button again. At the moment the central heating is off. We can turn it on, and it's everything from 5 up to 30 degrees. For example, today we'll set it at 15. Now I'm getting a flashing on this symbol. It's asking me what fuel source I would like to use. Currently above the line, everything above the line is what you've set. Everything below the line is what you can set. So we can now set our fuel. At the moment it's running on gas, but we can run it on a mixture of gas and electricity 2, or electricity 1 on its own. You'll notice electricity 1 has 1 lightning bolt symbol, electricity 2 has 2. Think of it almost like a 2-bar electric fire. 2 lightning bolts signify that you are utilizing 1800 watts of power, and 1, sorry, I've got to return to one indicates they're using 900 watts. Mix 2, gas and 1800 watts. Mix 1, gas and 900. Gas on its own. So let's return and switch off the central heating. When you've first selected, this little flame here will flash until the ambient temperature you set has been reached. It's solid now because it's a very warm day and the van is very warm inside, and setting it at 15 degrees is not making anything come on at all. Had I set it for 30, we probably would have been able to see a flash symbol. Right, let's enter gas, central heating, and switch off. Hot water, exactly the same. Select hot water on. There are only 2 settings for hot water, eco and hot. Eco is about 40 degrees Celsius, hot is about 60 to 65 degrees Celsius. There is a boost function. The boost function will get you there quicker at the expense of anything else you may have set. So if you've set your room heating at 20 and you want your water set to 40, you turn to boost and switch on boost. It will cannibalize the energy that should be going to the central heating so that your hot water gets hot. It doesn't get any hotter, it just gets there quicker. So let's switch the hot water off. And finally the wee fan, which will blow the warm air being generated by the central heating around the vehicle. If you have got no heating switched on, it operates as a vent. Let's enter the vent and you get 10 speeds of control. Now this is not, I hasten to add, air conditioning. It just moves the air around that's already in the habitation area. This allows you to set a timer, a start and finish, so you can have your central heating coming on, say at 4:30, if you're due to return to the vehicle at 5:30 after hill walking, and the van will be nice and warm and the water will be hot for you to have a shower. You can set, I'm still in the clock, so we'll come to clock timer. You can set, at the moment we're on a 24-hour clock. The time is 3:15. That's the clock now set. And then there is also you can set the temperature to either Celsius or Fahrenheit. You can have the brightness of the screen adjusted if you don't like it too bright. And you can also set the clock to either be 12 or 24 hours. You can also do change the language or do a factory reset to put everything back to normal. To switch off, press and hold, wait for it to go past app to off. There is an app you can get so you can do all of this from your mobile phone if you have a smartphone. If you want to work off app, rather than holding the button until it appears as off, you hold the button until the word app appears and then release the button. This will eventually, it runs through a closing down sequence, and there you go, it is now switched off. You have a selection of sleeping options with the vehicle, simply taking all the cushions off the vehicle and taking the back cushion away produces a single bed. Or you can bring the two beds together and they simply pull, the frames pull together, and then the cushions all slide into the middle and turn the living area into a very large and comfortable double bed. Your new motorhome comes with a Dometic 3-way fridge. To switch the fridge on, press the on-off button. Everything should light up for a couple of seconds, then it will tell you what it has been set at. Now at the moment we have the fridge running on gas. Had we selected battery, you would hear an alarm because it doesn't actually run off the leisure battery, it runs off energy 12 volts supplied by the vehicle battery through the alternator. Turning it to gas, the fridge will operate on gas, and if you're plugged into mains as we are today, you could press that button and the fridge will run on mains. To adjust the temperature of the fridge, simply press this button and up and down the scale will go. You'll notice when I press mains an alarm came on. Although we're plugged into mains, the mains is not switched on at the moment. So you will get an alarm sound if the choice of fuel that you have made is not available to the fridge. And to switch off, press until you hear a beep. It's as simple as that. The AutoSleeper Bourton has a full-size 4-ring hob with separate oven and separate grill. To operate, if you're plugged into mains, you'll be able to use the electric. Just turn to the desired temperature setting. A red light will come on to indicate that you have got power and that it's warming up. Power's not switched on at the moment, so you're not getting the red line. 12 volt power is on, which means the sparker will be available to ignite the gas. To ignite the gas, you push and turn the gas knob, pushing it in, press the button to ignite, hold it for a few seconds to allow the thermocouple to heat up, then you can release the button and the flames will stay on. If you can now try all of the buttons for the hob and similarly for the grill and for the oven, to satisfy yourself that the cooker is operating as it should. Previously we spoke about the toilet cassette and the blade that operates the toilet cassette, and this is the handle inside for that blade. So if you look into the bowl, you'll see the plastic blade that's in the top of the cassette. If we take this handle and move it round to the front, you'll see the blade open and close. To operate the toilet, keep the blade in the open position. Once waste material has entered the cassette, press the button at the top to flush. It's a continuous flush. As long as you hold the button down, the water will flush. That will rinse the bowl. Once the bowl has been rinsed clean, release the button and close the valve. Inside the cupboard you'll find two boxes, the first of which is the Truma iNet box. This allows you to use the Truma controls from the app on your phone when you're remote from the vehicle. So when you're inside the vehicle, it operates off Bluetooth. It operates over the 4 and 5G network if you are remote from the vehicle. However, that does require you to buy a SIM card, insert the SIM card into the iNet box, and you'll obviously have to have a data contract with a mobile provider for that to work. Beside that is the control box for the satellite on the roof for the television. Simply switch it on. It will boot up, it will initialize the antenna, and it will open the antenna. That's the satellite on the roof. It will open up and it has an automatic search function. It will search for and find either its last position or it will search for a new position. So we're going to go for last position. And that was, oh, I've now entered the menu. We'll go through the various settings. You can change language, it's in English, and that's it now stored in English. And we'll return back to the main menu. So the vehicle, because we've tested, the satellite had already tuned in, but that's all you have to do is switch it on here and it will automatically find the satellite. To park the satellite again, just simply press the button one more time and the satellite will retract. And switch off. Also in the wardrobe, storage space for the coffee table, the main dining table, which is a picnic table you can take outside the vehicle, and isolator valves for the gas supply to the oven, to the fridge, and to the central heating. Without a decoder box, the satellite dish on the roof acts simply as an aerial, and it will give you all the stations that you would normally get on FreeSat. To switch the television on, make sure it's plugged in at the top. There is a red light at the bottom indicating it's on standby. There is an on-off switch at the rear of the television. If there is no light on there, press that button and the red light will come on. Taking the remote, press the on button on the remote, and then the screen should come to life. There we are. And every time you go to a different location, you may have to retune the television. To retune the television, you use the AQT button on the remote control. Now, we are not in a very good position regarding having trees around the site and line of sight of the satellite, which is quite low in the sky. So sometimes the picture here at Highland Campervans isn't too good. If we go to the guide button on the remote, it will pull up a list of all the channels that are available. So let's go to let's say channel 4 and select the button and then press the guide button again, and we're back. Now, unfortunately, it's not a very good picture. I'll have the van parked in a different position when you come to collect it, and we'll get a much better signal and a much better picture on the television. So I've just moved the vehicle about 10 feet and retuned the television, and we're getting a much better picture. So there you go, proof that the system is all working as it should.